The call came in the middle of the night, and what followed would expose Meghan Markle in ways she never anticipated. Thomas Markle, 81 years old and fighting for his life in a Philippine hospital, had just undergone emergency surgery that would change everything. His foot had turned blue, then black, and within hours, doctors delivered the devastating verdict. It was life or death. The leg had to go. Thomas Markle Jr. raced his father to a local hospital where scans revealed a massive blood clot in his thigh. Sirens blaring, they transferred him by ambulance to a larger facility in the city center. 3 hours of surgery followed, and when it was over, Thomas Sr. woke up missing his left leg below the knee. The man who once spent over $700,000 raising Meghan, who lit her high school musicals so they felt like Broadway productions, now lay in an intensive care unit thousands of miles from his famous daughter. And where was Meghan during this crisis? Promoting her Netflix holiday special. The timing could not have been more damning. On December 3rd, the very same day, news broke that her father had been rushed to intensive care. Netflix released her cooking show. Her Instagram lit up with cheerful posts about spreading holiday magic and creating warmth through food. Not a single word about her dying father. The public noticed immediately. Here was a woman selling herself as the queen of compassion, the champion of family values, the loving mother who bakes with her children, and she could not pick up the phone to call her own father as he faced death. Sources close to Thomas revealed he was confused and heartbroken. He had kept the same phone number for years, hoping she might reach out. She never did. From his hospital bed, Thomas issued a plea that shattered hearts around the world. He told reporters he did not want to die estranged from Meghan. He wanted to meet his grandchildren. It might be nice, he said quietly, to finally meet her husband too. After 7 years of estrangement, this was a father begging for one last chance to see his daughter before it was too late. But the silence from Montecito stretched on. Days passed with no confirmed contact. Meghan's team eventually claimed she had reached out via email, but Thomas said he never received it. The excuse rang hollow to millions watching this tragedy unfold. In an age of instant communication, the Duchess of Sussex somehow could not reach an elderly man lying in a hospital bed. What emerged over the following weeks would paint an even darker portrait of Meghan's behavior during her father's medical emergency. The letter that was not what it seemed. The legal documents shoved at a grieving amputee. The war on anyone who dared help him. The truth about Meghan Markle as a daughter was finally coming into focus, and it was far more disturbing than anyone imagined. But that was only the beginning of the horror. After days of mounting public pressure, Meghan Markle finally made her move. But what arrived at Thomas Markle's hospital bedside was not the olive branch the world had hoped for. Insiders who have seen the correspondence describe it as something far more calculated, far more cold, and far more Meghan than anyone expected. Sources close to the situation revealed to celebrity reporter Rob Shooter that the letter reads more like a press release than a private letter. Every word was measured. One insider explained, she had to protect herself. This was not a daughter pouring her heart out to a father who nearly died. This was a woman crafting a document with lawyers and PR teams hovering over her shoulder. The revelation that Meghan agonized over every single line sounds touching until you understand the reason why. According to insiders, she was not worried about finding the right words to heal their relationship. She was terrified that Thomas might leak the letter to the press, just as portions of her previous correspondence had surfaced during their estrangement. She walked on eggshells with him, the source continued. She loves him, but she simply cannot trust him. But here is where the story takes an even darker turn. Reports emerging from multiple outlets suggest the letter contained something far more devastating than awkward family reconciliation attempts. Sources claim Meghan used this correspondence to scold her father for his friendship with journalist Caroline Graham, the Daily Mail reporter who had been supporting Thomas through his medical crisis. Rather than expressing relief that her father survived, rather than begging for forgiveness for years of silence, Meghan reportedly used the letter to reprimand an 81-year-old amputee for having the wrong friends. This follows a disturbing pattern that those close to the Markle family have witnessed for years. Meghan has allegedly given ultimatums to her father before, demanding he cut ties with her half-siblings Thomas Jr. and Samantha if he wanted any relationship with her. When he refused to abandon his other children, she reportedly cut him off entirely. Now, from his hospital bed, Thomas was receiving the same treatment. Choose between the journalist who actually showed up for you and the daughter who abandoned you. The letter was supposedly delivered through what Meghan's spokesperson called reliable and trusted contacts. Translation? Not Meghan herself. Not a personal phone call. Not a video message to a father who begged to see her face one more time. Just a carefully worded document hand-delivered by strangers while Thomas lay recovering from the amputation that nearly killed him. Royal watchers were stunned by the coldness of it all. Kinsey Schofield, host of the Two Die for Daily podcast, noted that Meghan has spent much of 2025 promoting a polished, family-oriented image, Yet her lack of direct contact with her father, especially after his amputation, makes that message impossible to maintain. And the letter was just the start. What came next shocked even the harshest critics. What Thomas Markle wanted was simple: a phone call from his daughter, a few words of comfort from the child he raised, the girl he drove to tap and ballet class every Saturday morning, the young woman whose high school musicals he lit with the care of a Broadway professional. Instead, what he received in that Philippine hospital room was something that left royal watchers absolutely horrified. According to explosive revelations from royal commentator Kinsey Schofield, Meghan did not send love or reconciliation to her ailing father. She sent a parade of individuals carrying legal documents. While Thomas lay in his hospital bed, still processing the trauma of losing his leg, strangers entered his room with papers that required his signature. Embassy staff reportedly arrived to videotape the 81-year-old, capturing footage that would be sent directly back to Meghan. One document in particular stands out. It was titled Consent and Waiver, and it requested Thomas's permission for embassy staff to share information about him if contacted. Schofield revealed the disturbing sequence of events during an appearance on Talk TV. He just wanted a phone call, she explained, so he signed a piece of paper saying the embassy could give somebody information about him. But it did not stop there. Another individual reportedly arrived asking for specific names to be authorized. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Caroline Graham, and Thomas Jr. were all listed as people who could receive information if they contacted the embassy about Thomas. Moments later, when Thomas asked who had actually called to inquire about him, the answer was chilling. The person said they did not know. Think about this for a moment. An elderly man who just survived life or death surgery, who is grieving the loss of his limb, who has begged publicly to see his daughter one more time before he dies, is being asked to sign legal waivers instead of receiving a simple phone call. The bureaucratic coldness of it all reveals something deeply troubling about how Meghan approaches even the most vulnerable moments in her family's life. Sources close to Thomas describe his confusion and heartbreak during this period. He had been given Meghan's team's contact information. He had made it clear he was willing to speak to anyone who could help bridge the gap. Yet instead of a warm voice on the other end of the line, he received attorneys and embassy officials armed with paperwork and recording devices. The contrast could not be more stark. While Meghan posted cheerful content about her Netflix show and her holiday traditions, her father was navigating a maze of legal documents from his hospital bed. While she spoke publicly about the importance of family and connection, she could not bring herself to pick up the phone and simply say hello to the man who sacrificed everything for her success. And if this was not disturbing enough, the revelations about what Meghan did to her father's phone number years ago tell an even more devastating story. The truth about Meghan Markle's intentions toward her father finally came into devastating focus when the Times UK dropped a bombshell that confirmed what many had long suspected. Meghan deleted her father's phone number back in 2018, shortly after her wedding to Prince Harry. She has reportedly kept it deleted ever since, and according to sources, she has no plans to ever see him again. Let that sink in for a moment. For 7 years, Thomas Markle has kept the same phone number, hoping against hope that his daughter might one day reach out. He has gone to bed each night wondering if tomorrow would be the day she finally called. He has checked his phone countless times, waiting for a message that never came. And all along, Meghan had erased him from her contacts entirely, as if he never existed. The revelation explains so much about the chaos surrounding his hospitalization. When Meghan's team claimed they could not reach Thomas because they did not have his number, the excuse seemed absurd. This is a woman with unlimited resources, powerful connections, and an entire PR apparatus at her disposal. Yet she supposedly could not track down a phone number that had remained unchanged for nearly a decade. Now we know why. She never wanted to find it. Sources close to the Duchess paint a picture of someone who has made a permanent decision about her father. The letter she sent was not an olive branch. It was a final goodbye, a formal severing of ties wrapped in carefully crafted language designed to protect her reputation rather than heal their relationship. Meghan is believed to have made her feelings clear in that correspondence. Her father's dealings with the media have made reconciliation impossible in her eyes. But here is what breaks the heart of anyone following this story. Thomas Markle, from his hospital bed in the Philippines, has never stopped hoping. He told reporters that he has always said he is open to reconciling with his daughter. He has never stopped loving her. He does not want to die estranged from Meghan. He wants to meet his grandchildren, Archie and Lilibet, who are now 6 and 4 years old. He has never laid eyes on them, not even in a photograph shared privately by their mother. The 81-year-old has also never met Prince Harry. His own son-in-law remains a complete stranger to him. It might be nice, Thomas said softly from his hospital room, to meet her husband too. The quiet dignity of that statement, the humble request of an elderly man who knows his time is running short, stands in stark contrast to the cold silence emanating from Montecito. Meghan has built an empire on the concept of family, of warmth, of authentic connection. Yet her own father lies alone in a foreign hospital, missing a leg, missing his daughter, and missing any hope that she will ever return to his life. And anyone who tries to help him faces her wrath. If Meghan Markle cannot control her father, she will apparently try to control everyone around him. That disturbing reality became crystal clear when journalist Caroline Graham revealed the treatment she received for the crime of simply being by Thomas Markle's side during his medical emergency. Graham, a Daily Mail reporter who has known Thomas since 2018, flew to the Philippines the moment she learned about his life-threatening condition. Thomas Jr. had called her with the terrifying news about the blood clot and the imminent amputation. Without hesitation, she booked a flight to be with her friend. What she encountered from Meghan's team upon arrival was anything but grateful. In a lengthy article published after the ordeal, Graham described receiving messages from Meghan's representatives that she characterized as unnecessarily aggressive. The journalist, who has visited Thomas at his homes over the years and speaks with him regularly, was being targeted for daring to support a sick old man when his own daughter would not. Meghan's spokesperson launched a public attack on Graham, accusing her of breaching clear ethical boundaries by remaining at Thomas's bedside. The statement claimed that Graham's presence had made it exceedingly difficult for the Duchess to contact her father privately. Think about the audacity of that accusation. Meghan, who deleted her father's number 7 years ago, who refused to call hospitals directly, who sent legal documents instead of love, was blaming a journalist for her own failure to reach out. Graham fired back with receipts. She explained that she only writes stories about Thomas with his express permission. He had specifically asked her to help him control the narrative around his amputation. She was not exploiting a vulnerable man. She was honoring the wishes of a friend who had no one else to turn to. When Thomas texted her from his hospital bed about the impending surgery, she was shocked to learn he had contacted her before telling his own son. The journalist went even further, revealing that she had actively tried to help Meghan reach her father. After the Duchess's team claimed they were calling hospitals across the Philippines searching for Thomas, Graham sought his consent to share his contact details and hospital room number with Meghan's representatives. She handed over everything they needed to make contact. Still, no phone call came. DMG Media, the Daily Mail's parent company, fiercely defended Graham against what they called demonstrably false accusations. The suggestion that Graham had breached ethical boundaries was vehemently denied. She had been with Thomas every day, providing him with care and support that his own daughter refused to give. The pattern is unmistakable. Meghan isolates her father from anyone who might help him, demands he cut ties with family members and friends, and attacks those who refuse to abandon him. Caroline Graham committed the unforgivable sin of showing compassion to Thomas Markle. For that, she became a target. But Meghan's aggressive tactics were about to extend even further. While her father recovered from his amputation, Meghan Markle found time to wage another war. This one was against a British broadcaster who made a false claim about her mother, Doria Ragland. And the way Meghan handled it reveals everything about her priorities and her ruthless approach to anyone who crosses her. On December 4th, GB News commentator Carol Malone made a statement during a live broadcast that would land her in serious trouble. While discussing Meghan's failure to contact her hospitalized father, Malone claimed that Thomas had raised Meghan while Doria was in prison. When her co-host pressed her on the claim, asking when exactly this imprisonment occurred, Malone fumbled. Years ago, she replied vaguely, "Do you want me to give you the precise date and time? Because I have not got that." The claim was false. Doria Ragland has never been in prison or jail. Malone later admitted she had seen the misinformation online and repeated it without verification. It was a genuine error she acknowledged during a forced on-air apology on December 15th. She accepted what she had been told on behalf of Doria, that Ragland had proudly raised her daughter and had never been incarcerated. But here is where the story takes a revealing turn. Meghan's team did not simply accept the apology and move on. They weaponized it. A spokesperson for the Duchess issued a scathing statement to People magazine that dripped with vindictiveness. Broadcasters have a responsibility to inform, not inflame, the statement read. This lie was conclusively debunked more than 2 years ago, yet it continues to be recycled by irresponsible commentators, causing recurring harm. The spokesperson continued with a stunning admission. GB News did not apologize voluntarily, but only to escape a defamation lawsuit. And it speaks volumes that GB News removed any trace of that apology within 24 hours of making it. Meghan wanted the world to know she had forced the network to its knees through legal threats. She was not gracious in victory. She was gloating. The contrast is staggering. When it comes to defending Doria, Meghan mobilizes lawyers, issues threatening cease and desist letters, and demands public humiliation from anyone who speaks against her mother. When it comes to her father lying in a hospital bed begging to see her one last time, she sends legal documents and cold letters through intermediaries. Doria is protected. Thomas is abandoned. The double standard could not be more glaring. Reports suggest that Doria still has not ruled out pursuing a libel lawsuit despite the apology. Sources close to Raglan told Newsweek that whether this marks the end of the matter will be for her and her lawyers to decide. Meanwhile, Thomas Markle receives no such fierce protection from his daughter, no legal team rushing to defend his honor, no public statements demanding respect for his dignity, just silence and estrangement while Meghan guards her mother like a fortress. And through it all, Meghan found time for something else entirely. While Thomas Markle lay in his hospital bed recovering from the amputation that nearly killed him, Meghan Markle was busy doing something far more important. She was posting flirty messages about her husband on Instagram. On December 17th, Prince Harry made a surprise appearance at the St. Regis World Snow Polo Championship in Aspen, Colorado. He was filling in for a friend, his spokesperson explained, competing against his longtime pal Nacho Figueras on the snowy Colorado field. Meghan stayed home in Montecito with the children, but she made sure to share her reaction with the world. Taking to her Instagram stories, the Duchess posted a photo of Harry on horseback looking dashing in a sky blue sweater. Her caption? "Oh, hello there." The flirtatious tone, the playful words, the public display of affection for her husband. It was all very cute, very romantic, very Meghan, and it made people absolutely furious. Royal watchers immediately pointed out the jarring disconnect. Here was a woman whose 81-year-old father had just lost his leg, who was begging to see her before he died, who had never met his grandchildren or his son-in-law, and instead of addressing any of that, Meghan was cooing over polo photos like a lovesick teenager. Critics called it performative affection, a desperate attempt to change the narrative from worst daughter in the world to devoted wife and mother. The timing was too convenient to be coincidental. With headlines dominated by her cruel treatment of Thomas, Meghan needed a distraction. Harry on a horse provided the perfect opportunity. This pattern of using social media for image management rather than genuine connection has defined Meghan's online presence since she returned to Instagram in January 2025. She posts carefully curated content about her Netflix shows, her lifestyle brand, her picture-perfect family life. What she never posts is anything acknowledging the father who sacrificed everything for her success. The "oh, hello there" caption struck many as particularly tone-deaf given the circumstances. One commenter noted that Meghan seems to save all her warmth for public consumption while offering nothing but coldness to her own flesh and blood. Another pointed out that couples in solid relationships do not need to constantly prove their love to strangers on the internet. Sources have described Harry and Meghan's social media displays as damage control amid ongoing rumors of tension in their marriage. Whether those rumors are true or not, the timing of this particular post felt calculated to anyone paying attention. "Look over here." The message seemed to say, "Look at how happy we are. Do not look at the dying man in the Philippines." Thomas Markle has never received a flirty Instagram post from his daughter. He has never received a public declaration of love or appreciation. He has received only silence, legal documents, and a cold letter that read like a press release. But the public humiliation of Meghan was only just beginning. Award season may be approaching in Hollywood, but Meghan Markle has already received a distinction she will not be putting on her mantle. A famous Los Angeles boutique has named her Villain of the Year, and the display has become one of the most talked about spectacles of the holiday season. Kitson, the trendy Robertson Boulevard store located between Beverly Hills and West Hollywood, has made headlines with its holiday hypocrisy window display since 2020. Each year, the high-end boutique calls out celebrities and public figures for their alleged double standards. This year, Meghan made the list alongside California Governor Gavin Newsom, George Clooney, and Katy Perry. The display features Meghan in a mocked-up magazine cover with a Santa hat photoshopped onto her head, but it is the text on that hat that has gone viral. Montecito Diva. It reads, a scathing label that has resonated with millions who have watched Meghan's transformation from beloved actress to widely criticized duchess. The fake magazine cover surrounding her image pulls no punches. Headlines declare that she and Harry are the most unpopular kids in school because they are disliked by Americans. Another mocks her as Everjam for being manufactured in a factory 2,000 miles from her California home. Yet another references her alleged violation of a no-dogs rule at a Montecito farmer's market. The display also takes aim at her Netflix holiday special, noting that she wore $82,000 worth of jewelry while preaching about simple homemade traditions. A particularly cutting headline accuses Meghan of being a hypocrite who will not let go of her royal status, despite claiming she wanted privacy and a normal life. For a woman who grew up in Los Angeles, who likely shopped at Kitson during its celebrity heyday in the early 2000s, the hometown humiliation must sting. This is not some British tabloid attacking her from across the ocean. This is her own city, her own people, calling her out in the most public way possible. Kitson owner Fraser Ross explained that customers have been asking for royal-related merchandise for years. They would argue on the store floor about which couple they preferred, he told the Daily Mail. That demand led him to create Team Harry and Meghan and Team William and Kate t-shirts back in 2020. The results speak volumes about public opinion. Team William and Kate outsells Team Harry and Meghan 2-1, Ross revealed. The original cotton jerseys were a callback to the iconic Team Aniston and Team Jolie shirts Kitson sold during the Brangelina scandal of 2005. Back then, Team Aniston doubled the sales of Team Jolie. The pattern is repeating itself with the royal couples. People now pose for photographs in front of the Kitson display, some coming straight from the airport with luggage in hand just to capture the moment. Meghan Markle has become a punchline in her own hometown, and this is merely the latest chapter in a much longer pattern. What is happening to Thomas Markle is not an isolated incident. It is part of a disturbing pattern that has repeated itself throughout Meghan's life, leaving a trail of broken relationships and discarded family members in her wake. Long before she met Prince Harry, Meghan had already begun cutting people out. Her half-sister Samantha Markle has spoken publicly about being frozen out despite years of what she describes as a normal sibling relationship. Her half-brother Thomas Jr. received similar treatment, pushed aside as Meghan climbed the social ladder in Hollywood. Both siblings have detailed how Meghan demanded their father choose between them and her. Thomas Markle Sr. faced an impossible ultimatum. If he wanted a relationship with his youngest daughter, he would have to abandon his other children entirely. When he refused to cut ties with Samantha and Thomas Jr., Meghan reportedly began distancing herself from him as well. The wedding scandal of 2018, when Thomas posed for paparazzi photos and then suffered heart attacks that prevented him from attending, simply provided a convenient excuse for an estrangement that had been building for years. The royal family would soon learn that they were not immune to Meghan's scorched earth approach to relationships. Within 2 years of her wedding, she had convinced Harry to leave his family, his country, and his duties behind. The Oprah interview that followed dropped bombshell accusations of racism against unnamed royals, claims that have never been substantiated, and that Meghan herself has walked back in subsequent interviews. Prince William allegedly remains deeply hurt by the rift. King Charles has reportedly made numerous attempts at reconciliation that have been rebuffed. The late Queen Elizabeth spent her final years watching her beloved grandson drift further and further away under his wife's influence. Even on her deathbed, the family remained fractured. Reverend Canon Father Phil Harris, a frequent commentator on royal affairs, has spoken passionately about the spiritual implications of Meghan's behavior. "Family is incredibly important and precious," he stated during a recent broadcast. "Integrity is incredibly important and precious. And not only has Meghan disrespected family, she has disrespected her father. She has done it at the expense of integrity, and it is all for her own personal gain." Father Harris invoked the biblical commandment to honor thy father and mother, noting that when we stop doing that, society breaks down and we lose our souls in who we are. He called Meghan's treatment of Thomas horrendous, a word he repeated for emphasis. The religious leader's emotional condemnation reflects a broader sentiment among those who have watched this family tragedy unfold. The pattern is unmistakable. Anyone who does not serve Meghan's interests gets cut off. Anyone who speaks to the press without her approval faces her wrath. Anyone who refuses to comply with her demands finds themselves erased from her life as though they never existed. Thomas Markle is simply the latest victim in a very long line. And as 2025 draws to a close, Meghan's legacy is taking shape. As 2025 draws to a close, Meghan Markle finds herself facing a reckoning she never anticipated. The carefully constructed image of a compassionate humanitarian, a devoted mother, a woman who left royal life to protect her family, lies in tatters. What remains is the portrait of someone willing to abandon her own father as he fights for his life. The timing of this crisis could not have been worse for brand Meghan. Her Netflix holiday special was supposed to launch a new chapter, positioning her as a lifestyle guru in the mold of Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow. Instead, viewers watched her demonstrate recipes for warmth and family connection while knowing her 81-year-old father lay alone in a Philippine hospital, begging to see her one last time before he dies. Industry insiders are questioning whether her carefully managed reputation can survive this moment. Kinsey Schofield noted that Meghan has spent much of this year promoting a polished, family-oriented image. Her lack of direct contact with her father, especially after his amputation, makes that message impossible to maintain. The hypocrisy is simply too glaring to ignore. Consider the staggering contradictions. Meghan speaks eloquently about the importance of mental health, while ignoring the psychological torment her estrangement causes her father. She preaches about authentic connection while sending legal documents instead of phone calls. She builds an empire on motherhood, while denying an elderly man the chance to meet his grandchildren. Thomas Markle's words from his hospital bed echo with heartbreaking dignity. "I have always said I am open to reconciling with my daughter," he told reporters. "I have never stopped loving her. I do not want to die estranged from Meghan." These are not the words of a bitter man seeking revenge. They are the words of a father who simply wants to hold his daughter's hand one more time. He will likely never get that chance. Reports indicate Meghan has no plans to ever see her father again. She deleted his number 7 years ago and has shown no intention of restoring it. The letter she sent was not a reconciliation. It was a final severance, dressed up in careful language to protect her public image. Meanwhile, Thomas remains in that hospital room surrounded by strangers, supported only by a journalist friend and his son. He has never met Harry. He has never held Archie or Lilibet. He missed walking his daughter down the aisle. Now he may miss the chance to say goodbye entirely. This is the legacy Meghan Markle has created for herself. Not the progressive duchess who modernized the monarchy. Not the feminist icon who spoke truth to power. Not the loving mother who sacrificed everything for her children. She will be remembered as the woman who let her father die alone. And that is something no amount of Netflix specials or Instagram posts can ever undo. Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and you will not believe what is coming next.